Hey everyone, thanks for joining Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and in today's video we'll be playing through a brand new game coming to Kickstarter called The Stifling Dark. This is a new one from Sophisticated Cerberus Games. It is a 3 to 5 player game that takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to play, and is a one versus many game, which means that most of the players will be playing investigators, which will be working together to try to find the evidence to prove the existence of the adversary, which is going to be the other player that is playing the game. Now this adversary is a local legend, some sort of supernatural or something that the players must prove the existence of so that people believe that that particular adversary is really out there. So throughout the game, the players are going to be moving around the map trying to find the clues and evidence for that. Once they've found all the evidence that they need, then they must exit and leave the area that they're in, and they'll have a couple of different choices for that. Now, unfortunately for the players, they also chose a poor night to do this on, as there is a storm coming in. So the players are going to have a maximum of 17 rounds to complete this and leave or accomplish whatever exit strategy they need to before the storm comes in and finishes them off and locks them down in this area with this nasty adversary that they're going to be facing. So in this particular game, the adversary is going to be the Butcher, and the Butcher again is going to be played by the other player that is going to control him behind the hidden screen, and he is going to have all of these different tokens out on his mini board as the players must use their flashlight or to illuminate buildings to find some of these things. So with this, I'm going to be playing through the game, showing you the first, middle, and end few turns to show you how the game plays and progresses to help you decide whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. As always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow and be able to produce this content. If you want to get notifications anytime I release new videos, as I'm dropping new stuff all the time, also give that notification bell a ring, and that'll let you know when I drop new stuff. I'm also going to have an overview video, so if you just want to see how the main features of the game and a rough sample turn of the game, I'll have a link up in the top corner to that, so you can check that out as well and see if this is something that you'd like to do. As always, if you have any questions or comments, post those in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see how this one plays. Alright, so we're ready to move into it. So first off, there's a couple of additional things that I have to take care of during setup for this particular game. So I already took care of the 3 different exit points, so you have to randomize each one of those and place those out. From there, then, based on the number of players, there's also going to be some scaling with this game. So with me playing only 2 investigators with this game, I am going to gain 4 of the evidence that are out on the board and 4 items for that I get to start the game with, and I can choose how I want to divide that up between my investigators. Now for this video, I am going to be showing all of the different things on both of the boards, but normally the adversary board is going to be hidden behind a screen, and that player that's playing the adversary will tell the players as they do different things where things are, what has been revealed and whatnot. So I am going to be showing that so you get a good idea how this plays, but just keep that in mind that these things are going to normally be separate and that the players, the investigators, are not going to know any of this information. Also, anything that the investigators have, such as certain cards or anything that doesn't have to be revealed, the adversary will not know those as well. So I will have all that out, but in normal games, you're also going to be revealing that. Now, you can share that information with the investigators, but again, the adversary player is not going to know that. So let's go ahead and handle the different things right now. So as the players, I have to choose 4 of the different buildings that I want the evidence from, and then I also have to choose 4 of the different adversary locations to take items from. So as the players, we're going to look at this map, and there's going to be 5 different clues out on this map that we need to find, and we're going to gain 4 of those now. So I have to choose which building I basically want to go after. So I think I'm going to keep this building, as that's nice and small, and that should be pretty easy to find the evidence in. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and choose this location down here to gain the item from. So I'll go ahead and take that and flip that over. And so we have, I don't know, let's find that one in the items section. So that is, and each item is going to have the icon that matches the token up in the top corner for easy reference. Okay, so we have the rabbit's foot. So if you take the final wounds that would kill you, roll a d6. On a 5+, you still take the wound, but do not die. You must roll again at the end of each of your activations, and if you roll less than a 5, you immediately die. So that's interesting. That'll keep you alive for a little bit longer. All right, I'm going to discard that. And then I am going to go ahead and, let's see, I'll do this one as well. So we have, all right, let's find out what that is. That's some painkillers. So that one is if you must have at least one face-up wound. In order to use this item, you draw 2 new face-up wounds or 2 new wounds cards. You may replace one of them, one of your existing ones, with one of the 2 cards you've chosen. Okay, so that'll kind of ease that up, hopefully. And then I think I will take the item from this location here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that one. And we have the blueprints. So this one is you may flip 2 supply tokens face up that you have found. All right, and the last one, I think I'll take this one up here. So that one is, looks like a backpack maybe. Nope, no backpack. That is a survival kit, so all investigators may ignore the effects of a storm card for this activation. Very cool, so that can really come in handy for us. All right, so that is the 4 items that I have found. And again, these can be divided up amongst the players. And again, the adversary would not normally know what these are. So I think I'll give Mitchell the rabbit's foot and the blueprints. And I'm going to go ahead and give Q the painkillers and the survival kit. All right, so now I have to choose my evidence. So I'm going to go ahead and take this location first. And so I'll reveal an evidence card. Now again, these are going to be hidden. So this one is network. I place X tokens on all but one computer space. You may no longer use these computers, but you can make any 2 buildings bright per round for on the remaining computer. Reveal 1 when this is drawn, but we already took care of that. All right. The next one is going to be this one here. So then I have the offering. So immediately choose one of the following options. So this one I cannot hold on to. I must choose right away. I can discard all of my major tokens from the investigators and the board in order to decrease this round tracker by 2. So right now the round tracker is at 1. So there's no point in doing that at this point. So this will simply be discarded. Okay, I'm going to take this one up here. And this is improvisation. The truck requires only 1 battery and 1 other part for it to automatically start. Permanently set 1 of the investigators' charges to 0 for their flashlight. You may not use another truck card for this. All right, so that's interesting. And the final location, I'm going to go ahead and take this one up here. That means that all I have is that location there to handle. And this one is repair. Remove 2 damaged or destroyed tokens, door tokens from the board, and reveal 1 item from there as well. All right, so these are the ones that I have to hold on to. So I'm simply going to just place these face down over here. And I can remove these tokens as well. All right, and then I have to choose my location for my adversary to start. And let's see, where do I want to go with him? I think I have to start within 4 of a location. So I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start right there. So right inside this building here. As I know that the players are going to be going that way, I can kind of cut around and show up in this area here. All right, so moving into the players, and then I have to choose my starting locations, which is going to be any one of these 4 green spaces down here. And I think I'll have Mitchell go here, and I'm going to place Kyoya over here. So with this, normally these have stands, but for you to be able to see this from the top down, I'm just going to place their tokens on there. And so I might have to reference the space underneath there a little bit, or place the flashlight underneath their token, as it won't work quite as well with the spaces. All right, so moving into the game now. So each round is going to be played over a set of 5 steps. The first one is the start phase, and during this phase you're going to reveal the top storm card and resolve its effects, and then if there are any other effects that come into play at this point, that's when you'll handle those. So let's go ahead and reveal that and find out what we got. So we have Cold Front. We gain a face down wound when our stress reaches 2 instead of 1. All right, so that's nasty. Oh, this guy should have been at all of his stuff should have been at the top. Okay. So we handle that. So now we move into the investigator activation. Each investigator will activate and carry out any actions that they want to before it moves on to the next one. And you can choose any order in which to do this as the players. So you can talk amongst yourselves and change this order every single round, however you want to do it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Mitchell first. And so he gets a movement of 4 spaces. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a stress because I want to move a little bit farther. So then I'm going to roll my die. And I get 4 more spaces. That was really good. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and also use my flashlight. So I'm going to go ahead and move him for a second. So I'm on 157. And I can position this anywhere around here to illuminate those areas. So let's see. I think I'll do that for now. All right, so from there, then I ask the adversary player if there is anything in those areas. So he does have an item in 114, which is illuminated. So I'll place that token right there. And there isn't anything else at the moment. So the flashlight action is going to be the last action you can take during your turn if you choose to. Then at the end of your turn, if you didn't take a stamina action or a flashlight action, you would actually gain 1 point in each one of those, unless you did an involved action, which is interacting with a computer, or there'll be some other things that will count as that as well. All right, so that is the end of Mitchell's turn. So we're over to Kwai over here. So she's going to go, and for her action, she also gets to move 4 spaces. So she's going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then she's also going to take a stress to roll that die because we want to keep moving here. So she gets a movement of 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then with hers, she is going to go ahead and illuminate behind him just in case, because we, again, don't know where that adversary is, and I really don't want him popping up behind us. So I'm going to go ahead and place that over here. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do it like, well, I'm going to go ahead and do it like that. That way, and it has to cover the entire circle, and one of these lines has to be touching it and for it to be illuminated. So for example, this one here is not illuminated as it is not completely underneath the circle, and there isn't a line touching it, as well as these here have not been illuminated as well. But this will cut off a good portion of that. And then again, we'll ask the adversary, is there anything there? And he's, nope, nothing there. As they were close to finding that piece, that item, but they were unsuccessful with that. All right, so that is the end of my player's turns. I also have to move her flashlight down as she used that as well. And it'll move into the adversary turn if there's nothing else to handle. Now, there will be certain points where you might have to place out noise tokens or other tokens that will be removed at the end of the investigator phase. All right, so moving into the adversary phase, again, his phase works pretty much the same way as the investigators. There's a couple of exceptions to this. First off, again, he is moving on the mini board versus the main board until he has been revealed. And with his movement, he gets a base movement of 5 points, and he always is going to roll the additional die for movement. So he's going to gain 3 more points of movement on top of his 5, so he gets to move 8 spaces. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and move him 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here for the moment. And then I'm going to check and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm in line of sight of both of them at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and stalk them both. So I have to place my marker out to signify that's where I'm stalking them from. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue my movement. Well, so that goes there. And then each one of the investigators that I stalk initially is going to get the spine chill condition. So this one is, you are in the butcher's gaze. If he regains line of sight on his next activation, he will gain a stalk point, and then you flip this card face down at the end of the round. All right, so each one of our investigators has one of these. And then I want to continue moving because I want to get out of line of sight of them so that they don't shine their lights on me. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 over here. That way then I am, so that was there. And I'm going to go over to 105. So I'm going to place my guy over here. All right. That, I think, is about all I want to do at this point, as there's not much else that I can really do. I have my token there. And yeah, I think that'll be good. So at this point then, it is going to be the last step in the phase is the end phase, and you're going to follow any cleanup and anything like that. You'll also remove the flashlights and any other things that you need to handle at this point. So that'll go in 114. And he gets his token back. All right, so both of my investigators have been spotted by the adversary. So I need to make sure that either I hide or I can locate him. So I have to choose how I want to do that. All right, so that is the end of the round. So we'll move the round tracker forward one point, and we're ready to start a new round. So at this point, again, we're going to reveal a storm card. So we have Foggy. Using a flashlight costs 1 extra. Oh boy, that's not good. And so yeah, woof. All right. And I don't have any tokens or anything to remove at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and start my turn, and I have to choose the order again. So I think I will go with, I will start with her. So let's go ahead and move into it. So she gets her movement of 4 points, so moving in 1. And now the rooms in here are dark spaces. So with those, it's going to cost her 2 movement points per space that she wants to move to. So 3, that's 2 and 3 there. And then she's going to go ahead and take another stress and roll the die. She picks up 3 more points, so she had 1 remaining, and now she has 3 more, so she gets to move 2 more spaces, basically. So I'm going to move there and here, which was just enough. That's exactly what she needed, and there's not much else I really want to do, I think, at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do an involved action to trigger that computer, which is going to turn on the lights in this room. So I'll place a token in here to turn on the lights there. Now, when the lights are on, that lights up all of these spaces. So these are not darkness spaces anymore, and our investigators can move through them like the regular spaces out here. They are also going to reveal all of the stuff in there. So at this point, our person has to drop these in. So he has the last investigate token up there, and that is all that there was in that room. So from there, then she has her minor abilities. So after taking involved action, which normally is going to end your turn, you may place the flashlight or move up to 4 spaces, not taking no other action. So I can't do anything else. All right, so what do I want to do here? I want to get that evidence. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, moving right there. And that'll end her turn. Now, because she did an evolved action, she will not regain her stamina or flashlight this turn. Even though, and she also used the stamina, so she wouldn't be able to gain it back anyways. All right, so moving on to the other player, I'm going to go ahead and move in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Might as well go into the room, as it is all lit up at this point, and I don't want to use my flashlight in that to do anything else. So at this point, I think I'm going to end Mitchell's turn. That way he gains his stamina and his flashlight back, as he didn't use either one of those. All right, so over to the adversary to go. So with the adversary, he's over at 105 right now, and 105 does have line of sight to the girl, so he is going to go ahead and trigger that right away. And he doesn't have line of sight past that area to Mitchell, so he's only going to get the 1. So he's going to place his token there, and that lets them know that that's where he was when he saw her. So these, again, are going to be flipped over at this point. And this one goes away, basically, as he didn't get it the second time. And he's going to pick up 1 stock point for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and move. So I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And sit there. So I'm at 144 right now. And that is going to be over here. All right. And I think that is about all I want to do for the moment. So that will finish off this round. And we're ready to move into the next round. So at this point, I think I'm going to take a couple rounds. Well, not yet. Let's go ahead and go one more round. That way, then we can kind of see what's going to happen as we're going to pick up that last piece of evidence. We need to figure out how to get to the exit point. All right, so moving back into the top of the next round. Again, we have to reveal our card. So this storm grows in strength, but is manageable for now. This card has no effect. Okay, that's cool. I can deal with that. So no negative effects at this point. And then we also are going to place this room. This room's going to go dark, as it'll each time you use that, and you can only use that 1 time per game. That is going to go out at this point. So our investigators are back into darkness. So I'm going to go ahead and go with my girl investigator here. So she's going to move over as her first movement. So that's going to take 2 of her movement points. And then she's going to go ahead and pick up that last piece of evidence. So I'll go ahead and do this. So this one is spare parts. Rather than rolling a d6 to determine where the battery and the parts and the fuse tokens are spawned, you may select any available option. Draw an extra storm card for the next 3 rounds. You may not use this and another truck upgrade card. So we have a couple of different choices with the truck. And then it's also going to have me reveal 1 item when drawn. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and reveal this item here, and let's find out what it is. It's a cross. All right. So that might be useful to gain. And I think we can go ahead and take a look and see what that is. So let's find out. So the cross, you give this card to the adversary when you use it. The next time they move within 2 spaces of any investigator, they must place a noise token on the space they moved onto and then discard this card. Okay, so it kind of reveals where they potentially are. All right, what do I want to do? I think I will move back to, and I think I'm going to hold out there, as I would really like to gain some stamina and my flashlight back. All right, so that will finish off her turn. Before her turn ends, since we did reveal that last piece of evidence, let's go ahead and reveal the objectives now for getting out of here. So we have the sawmill with the truck. So this one is going to have us place the truck token on space 220. So let me pull those out. So we have all of our different exit tokens here. So there's the truck. I think we're going to need that fuse as well. All right, so he's going to place that on 220. So there that is. And then we're going to roll a d6 to determine where to place the battery, the whatever this is, and the fuse. I needed the fuse and the battery. There's the battery. Okay. All right, so then we have the different results for that, and it's going to tell us where to place those. So at this point, our players could choose to play that card if we wanted to. The spare parts, which only has us determine, rather than rolling, we get to choose where they go. Otherwise, we have the improvisation. This one allows us, only requires the battery and 1 other part to automatically start. So we'll have to choose how we want, if we want to play those. I'm not going to play the spare parts, I think. That's pretty nasty. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and roll and see where these pop up at. So on a 5. All right, so we've got 5, 6 is going to have us placing them on K9. So let's go ahead and shuffle these up because I think these are randomized anyways. All right, so we have K9. K is going to be up here. And we have K16. Oh no. And S1. S1 is all the way over here. So across the map is where we need to go. And then we get to reveal an item when selected. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this room here. So our player, our adversary will place that token out. And that is it. So otherwise we had the south gate. So let's just go through these last couple here so you understand. So normally you would look at all of these and choose which one you want to, but it seemed like the car was a good choice for us. Otherwise, with the south gate, we have to place the battery token on space 25. So that would be over here. And then you must escape from space 306, so all the way down here. You have to roll a d6 to determine where the fuse token spawns. So that can be all over the board. There's one space over here, 167, somewhere over here. Yeah, somewhere over there. Oh, it's over here. There it is. S40 or in 142. So that one would have those conditions. And then the final one is the secret layer. So have the adversary randomly place the weapon and the wrench tokens adjacent to any adversary spaces within 10 spaces of any investigator. The tokens do not need to be adjacent to the same adversary space, and the adversary spaces do not need to be within 10 spaces of the same investigator. So those are the different things. So we'd have to gather those up and then try to defeat the adversary with that. So a couple of different choices. I'm going to opt to try to repair the truck. So I'll go ahead and place that up top. And then there's also a larger card with that is going to tell you exactly what you need to do for that. So fixing the truck. So we're going to select the truck objective evidence card and roll a d6 to place those out, and then take the interact action on the spaces that have the battery, the parts, and the fuse, and pick them up. With one or more parts in your inventory, take any involved action on the truck space for each one to install them and place them below from left to right. Once at least one part is installed, one investigator per round may interact on or adjacent to the truck token to attempt to start the truck. Roll a d6, succeeding on the lowest number with a token on it. So the more tokens you get, the easier it's going to be to start. With just one, it would require a 6. With 2 of them, it's a 4+, and with all 3, it's a 1+. And then all investigators on or adjacent to the truck space escape upon success. Place a person token on space 10 or 306. Any remaining investigators may interact with that space to escape. So those would be up on these 2 spaces if they are not on the truck when that starts up. All right, so those are the different things for that. So then it goes over to Mitchell to go for his turn. So, So Mitchell's going to go ahead and go 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to definitely use the flashlight, and I'm going to go ahead and go straight forward like that. And then I'm going to ask, is the adversary in any of those spaces? He is not, as he is sitting right here, but it is not completely illuminated by the flashlight. So Mitchell is so close, but the adversary is pressed up against the wall and is hiding from him. So that is not a good situation for Mitchell, as you're going to find out here shortly. All right, so that is the end of Mitchell's turn. So now it's into the adversary's turn. So the adversary is going to have some options here. So he is right next to Mitchell. So he's going to go ahead and let's see how the eviscerate works. So with this one, if when adjacent to an investigator, so he is an adjacent, give him a bleeding condition. If they already have the bleeding condition, give them a wound, face-up wound instead. And then I'm going to place a supply token on this card each time it is used. Once there are 2 tokens on here, we're going to remove them, and then I get to gain a stock token for that. All right, so this is going to require 1 stock, so I have to spend that. And I'm going to go ahead and give him the bleed condition. So let me pull that out real quick, as I'm directly adjacent to him. So poor Mitchell ended up getting hammered pretty good here. All right, so the bleed condition, at the end of each of your activations, you're going to gain a face-up wound. Once you have gained 2 from this card, discard it. If you would gain a second copy of this condition, and gain a face-up wound instead. All right, so Mitchell for the next 2 turns is going to have to gain a wound to that, or to his player. All right, so that was my first action, and then we're going to go ahead and remove this token before. It doesn't say that I have to reveal where I was, so from there, then let's see. I think I'll move down 1. Let's see how many spaces, additional space I can move, up to 2, so I get 7. 2, well, let's see, what do I want to do here? Let's go 1, 2, 3. And I will go ahead and stalk her. So there's my token there. Now let's go 4 there and place it there. So then 5, 6, and 7. So I'll be right on the doorway. So he's kind of just hanging out there. And then she will flip her token back over. And that is it. For his turn, I don't have anything else that I want to do at the moment. So that will end the round. And we're ready to move into the next round. I should have moved that forward too. I forgot to move that forward. So it was the 3rd round. All right. So at this point, I am going to take a few turns off camera, and we'll be back to see how our players are doing. All right, so I'm back after a couple more rounds. My investigators have made their way towards picking up those different objectives that they need to start the truck. Now, there is one important thing that I did forget that I want to cover here. So when my investigators picked up the last piece of evidence, the one thing that my adversary was supposed to do is place out a major ability token and a dim light token in a building of the investigator's choice. Since most of the stuff is up in the kiln, I definitely want to place them there. So I'm going to go ahead and place a dim token in there, which means that all the spaces in this room are considered regular spaces, so it only costs 1 movement point to move into. And then the adversary is going to place a token in there for the major ability. And I'm going to go ahead and place it over here, make our investigators have to work a little bit for it if they want it. All right, so moving back into the game. So this is the top of round 6. So again, I don't have to reveal a storm card. So we have Cold Front. I gain a wound when your stamina reaches 2 instead of 1. So we have that Cold Front coming back through again. And both of our investigators are close to that, so they have to be careful here as we don't want to take any more wounds. Poor Mitchell has taken the 2 wounds that he was supposed to from his bleed. His first one was a dislocated hip, and he has Pack Rat to try to solve that with mitigation to flip that over. And then he also has tunnel vision, which means that his flashlight, only the front 3 lines of that flashlight are going to work. And in order to, the mitigation to that one is a misstep. At the beginning of your next activation, you're going to gain the fracture condition token. All right, so I did gain that. And this one is sprinting now costs 2 stamina. You're going to reduce your foot by 2, so we'll drop it down to 2. At the beginning of each of your activations, increase your foot by 1. Once you regain 2 feet, discard this card, which would resolve the mitigation and resolve that tunnel vision. So definitely need to handle that. The pain is dimming his senses. All right, so moving back into it, our investigators are still trying to gain the items. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with my girl here first. So she's going to do her movement. So she's going to move in 1. And then 2, 3 to get into that space and pick that item up. So she found the fuse. So we've got 1 item now that we have. And then she has, her major ability is a pretty good ability, and she has a feeling that the adversary is trying to get around and get at Mitchell again, as he's got the 2 wounds. So if either of our investigators are ever eliminated, the game is over and the players have lost. So we have to be careful about how we're going to do this. So her major ability is that she can choose 2 spaces anywhere on the board, and if the adversary is on or adjacent to these 2 spaces, they must reveal themselves. So she is going to go ahead and spend her token to do that and try to find out where the adversary is. So first off, she's going to go ahead and choose this space here, which is going to cover Mitchell's space, the space in front of him, the space underneath, and this item space. Then the adversary is going to tell her, no, I am not there. So next, then I am going to go ahead and choose another space. And I think I will do, I'm going to do S7. So that's going to cover S2, S12, S11, and S6. And he just so happens to be on S6. So he goes, oh, you got me. So he has been revealed at this point. So that will buy our investigators a little bit of time, as he must disappear during his turn now, instead of being able to try to wound the investigators and that. So that was a critical move on her part, and very lucky that she was able to figure that out. All right, so that will end her turn. I don't need to use a flashlight at this point, and I chose not to use stamina, so I'm going to regain 1 stamina. And then it is going to be over to Mitchell. So he does have that fractured condition, so he can only move a maximum of 2 spaces. So he's going to move 1 and 2 into that space there. And that is all he can do for that. He could try to use the flashlight. He does have a major ability as well. He may place the 2 tokens on this activation. Tokens need to be placed adjacent to yourself, but not each other. These work like doors for the adversary, except that when they are destroyed, the tokens are removed. Investigators may move through these tokens freely. They do not block line of sight. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do those just yet. I'm going to hold on to those for now. All right. And I don't think I'm going to use a stamina, as I don't want to suffer the consequences of the cold front. I guess I will use a flashlight just to be on the cautious side, so the adversary has to go a different route. So I still have the condition on, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so the adversary is not going to be able to move on to any of those 4 spaces there. He must move onto other spaces, which doesn't necessarily help me too terribly much, but at least he can't hit me this turn. All right, so that finishes off my turn. I will gain a stamina back as well. I did use the battery, so I won't be able to gain anything back for that. And I met the conditions of the fracture for 1 round, so that'll move up at the end of the round. And the next round only, I get 3 movement points. All right, so over to the adversary. So if with the adversary, he must resolve his disappear. So he's going to remove his figure from the main board. After disappearing, you may take only the break door action, or take the finish the move action. So with that, going to his card, it gives us a little bit more. So he must be revealed and in a dim or pitch black space. To remove his figure from the main board, place it back on the main board, and place his token on the space that he disappeared from. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move 1, 2, and then I will go ahead and place that token. Where was that at? Here it is. All right, so I'm going to place that here. That's the spot where we knew he disappeared from. And then he's going to go back to the mini map. So that is going to be there. And then he gets to move a total of 3 plus, so 8 spaces, and he already moved 2. So he gets 6 more spaces. So then I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to be up at 13. So I'll kind of come around that window on the back side there. and see what I can do from there. All right, so that is going to be the end of his turn, as there's nothing else that I really want to do at this point. The spine chill goes away because he was not able to get that line of sight the second time. And so that will be it for this round. So we're going to move forward one and reveal another card. So we're almost at the end here. So the storm grows in strength, but is manageable for now. This card has no effect. So we got lucky this round. We have no nasty effects, but next round things are going to start heating up as our card is getting worse. All right, so we'll remove this token here, and then this one also gets removed. And we're back at it. So I have to choose the order in which I'm going to do this. So I might as well go with Mitchell. So I'm going to go ahead and move in one and pick up the token. So he finds the battery. And let's see. We do have that card. So truck requires only the battery and one other part. So we do have the battery now. So we could go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and use that now. So that it gets revealed. And now it says I permanently set one of the investigator's flashlights to 0. So that's not good. But he only had one left anyways. So that is the deal with that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just place that out to the side here so I know that that's active. And I only get to move 3 spaces this turn, so I'm going to go 1 and 2 there. And then over to my other character, she is going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, she's in darkness spaces, so I have to be careful with that. All right. How do I want to do this? So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can roll, and depending upon what I get, it'll be pretty critical. Okay, so let's see what I get here. And I only got 2 movements. So 1, 2. Ooh. Well, I'm going to use the flashlight and see what I can see here. So I don't quite cover his space, but at least I protect those other spaces in front of him. So depending upon where the adversary is, he might not be able to get to there. All right. So that will finish off her turn. She did use a stamina, so that's going to go down 1. And that will finish off them. So back over to the adversary, who is sitting up top there going, man, she just sat in the perfect spot for me. So he's going to go ahead and do his move action. So let's go ahead and roll. And he gets 2 more, so he's going to get 7. So he's going to go 13, 12, 28, and 37. So that's 4 movement points that he used. And then he's going to go ahead and eviscerate her. So she's going to gain the blood or bleeding token. And the end of Mitchell's turn, that goes up again as well. So then this gets discarded. That gets, the mitigation is resolved, and the tunnel vision gets flipped over. All right. So mitigation goes here, and then the fracture will go in here, and then she gains the bleed token or bleeding card. All right, so then she's going to start taking wounds. So now both of our investigators have taken, or will be taking, a pair. So either one of them could be it for them at this point. Okay, so that brought him down to 37, and then he is going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3. So he's going to be at 50. You can go ahead and hide behind that section there. All right, that is the end of his turn. So then I have a second token on here, so then I would gain that point because I had 1 on here from when I got Mitchell before. So now I have 1 more point to eviscerate somebody else with, hopefully. All right, that is it. So this gets removed. And we're going to be in round 8. So here comes the bigger storm. So the storm grows in strength, but is manageable for now. This card has no effect. Oh, got lucky there, which means we're going to get not so lucky later on. All right. So let's see here. I think for Mitchell, best thing to do is just to kind of move straight down, I think, at this point. So that's what I'm going to do. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then he'll go ahead and roll the die, and he gets 3 more points of movement. So 1, 2, and 3. So he's going to go ahead and camp out in there. I don't think there's anything else at the moment that he could do. He did use a stamina, and just in case, let's go ahead and spend his major ability and block off those 2 spaces there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. All right, so that finishes off his turn. So then we're over to my other character. All right. And I guess I will go ahead and use this for the cross. I'm going to go ahead and give that to him. That'll take effect. And then at the beginning of her turn, she has to gain a wound card. So let's see what she pulls. So she pulled Hemi, decrease your foot by 2. Oh no. And a mitigation. This one is silenced. Do not take or do not talk for 2 full rounds. Well, that's not going to work for me. When you begin the round silent, flip the condition or wound face down. If you speak before the 2 rounds are up, flip the condition face up and try again next round. So I'm going to draw a different one because that one is definitely not going to work for this situation. So this one is at the end of a round in which in pitch black space without placing the flashlight. Oof. I'm going to go ahead and move 1, 2, and I will go ahead and use another flashlight and kind of keep things hopefully at bay here. So I'm going to illuminate up, and that will be the end of her turn. So then it's going to move into the butcher's turn. So the butcher is going to, I think at this point, I think I'm just going to kind of work my way down and try to get him at the end there. All right, so I'm going to move 8 spaces. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to move down to 38. See if I can cut them off as they kind of get their way to the truck. All right, that is the end. I think that's all I want to do for now. And I did not meet any of the conditions for the cross, so I don't have to worry about that. And that is the end of the round. So moving into the next round, we're into round 9. We have the card. And this is heavy winds. Investigators do not recover stress when outside of a building. All right, so I still have that survival kit, so I can choose when to pop that if I'm concerned with that, but I think I'm going to be spending stress for both of my investigators this turn. So that might not come into play anyways. All right, I think I'll go first with Mitchell. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, well, I don't know if I should pop that stress right now or not. I think I'm going to hold out with him, but that means that we're not going to be able to gain that unless we pop that. So I think I'm going to hold off there with him. And I do not have a flashlight at the moment, so then it's going to move over to my other character. So she's going to move 1, 2, 3. And the question is, do I go through the door or do I keep moving around? She's way behind here, way behind. Yeah, I'm going to go into the door and then roll. So I'm going to use a stamina with her. And she gets to move 2, which basically just puts her right there. All right. And that will end her turn. So then we move into the butcher's turn. So with the butcher, I'm going to keep moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he gets 2 more. So he's going to go ahead and sit right on that truck space of 220. And just kind of hold out there for the other guys. All right, that is the end of that round. So I'm going to go ahead and take another round or 2 off camera, and I will finish it up right at the end of the game. All right, so we're ready to move into the end of the game here. So our last round was very critical. Mitchell was able to move down and place the battery into the truck. And then our girl moved down and she was able to illuminate that space and revealed that the adversary was at that location. So he had to spend that round moving off of there, which saved Mitchell because Mitchell could have been eviscerated again and would have had to take that bleed condition. So we're ready to move into round 12. So we have the worst condition for our event. We have solar flare, so the investigators will no longer recover batteries at the end of their activation, and this is going to continue for the remaining rounds that the players are playing. And both of our batteries are completely gone at this point, so we need to get the heck out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with her first. So 1, 2, 3 as her first movement, and she's back up. And so she's going to go ahead and do a stamina. To move a little bit farther, she gets to move 4 spaces, so she's going to move through and up to here. Yeah, she'll move over here. From there, she's going to go ahead and spend her action to go ahead and place the fuse, and then that'll end her turn. So then we're going to go into Mitchell's turn. He's going to go ahead and activate that with the improvisation. That means that it's an auto start, and so we don't have to roll. And the truck is started and our investigators are out of here. So they made it just in time. That was a critical usage of her battery or her flashlight last turn. Otherwise, the adversary could have come and started doing some eviscerations on Mitchell as well, which would have given him those additional bleed card or that additional bleed card, which would have caused him to take more wounds. And if any of our investigators take all of their wounds, they are dead and eliminated and the game is over and the players have lost and the adversary has won. So we were able to complete our mission and make it out of the sawmill alive. So I hope you found this video interesting and enjoyable. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below, or swing by the Kickstarter's main comment page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.